This is DTV Answers, a special edition of Connecting the Community. Everything you need to know about the switch to digital television. DTV Answers is a co-production of WSRE and WEAR TV. Here are your hosts, Lloyd Patterson and Dan Thomas.
Good evening, I'm Lloyd Patterson with WSRE Public Television.
And I'm Dan Thomas with WEAR Channel 3. Tonight we're simulcasting on both of our channels, bringing you information about the switch to DTV.
Well, the countdown to digital television is coming to an end. Broadcast television stations will soon say goodbye to analog broadcasting.
And Lloyd, surveys show that most people are aware of the switch, but those same surveys also show there are many people out there that are just going to have snow on their screen after the February 17th switch.
And we don't want that to happen, of course. Shows such as Primetime on ABC and Nova on PBS and all other shows will then be broadcast in only digital, which will give you a much clearer picture with better sound too.
And of course, most viewers are good to go since they receive their television by satellite or cable.
But we know that many viewers still have questions about the switch to digital TV, and we want to answer them in this next hour.
That's right. Tonight we've assembled a panel of experts ready to answer your questions. Give us a call if you have any question about the DTV switch at 484-1290 or 1-800-239-WSRE. That's 1-800-239-9773.
And in addition to the group in the back that will be taking the phone calls, we have in the studio with us tonight Daryl Harrison, WSRE's chief engineer, and next to him we have Roland Phillips, who for years was the chief engineer at WSRE and retired not too long ago. Also here tonight, Bill Harrell, the Director of Development at WSRE, and Eric Funden, our Director of Station Operations. Welcome, guys.
Guys, let's start tonight by just asking the question, why are we doing all this? What's wrong with television the way it is? Why are we switching to digital television? Who wants to be first?
Daryl, jump in there.
I'll jump in there. Well, there are a lot of reasons to switch to digital. It has important benefits for the consumer. Technology always changes and moves forward, and the system that's been in place for approximately 68 or 70 years has been analog, and the time has come to change and move into the digital world along with many other technologies. The transition has been a long time coming. A lot of you may only be aware of it recently, but we behind the scenes have been working towards this means for over 10 years, and the time is just about here. Next month is the proposed cutoff. But there are a lot of good benefits to it. The number one benefit is there are more channels for you to watch. The channels are clearer. Mm-hmm. It's freeing up frequencies for first responders and the like. And it's a much better picture. So those are the highlights of the reasons we're doing this.
Okay, well then who is really going to be affected by this? Is it every television viewer?
Every television viewer will be affected to a certain extent. The folks that are watching on cable and on satellite won't be affected as much as the folks that are receiving television over the air. If you're receiving television over the air, in order to keep receiving television, you need to have a digital television with a digital ATSC tuner, or you need a converter box. There are probably 5 or 6 different brands. The government has provided some financial assistance for that. If you are watching over the air and you don't have a digital television and you don't have a converter box, come February the 18th or whenever the date happens to be, you're out of business. You won't be watching television.
Now hold on, Roland. You said the ATSE. I don't think that, I'm not familiar with what that is. Can you explain what that is real quickly?
ATSC is an acronym for Advanced Television Systems Committee, but that is the letters that will be on the outside of the box of the TV you buy if you have a digital television. For years and years, televisions have been advertised as being digital, but they did not have digital tuners, and there was a lot of confusion. There still is a lot of confusion.
Right.
If you are watching television over the air and you are not able to watch channel 3-1 and 3-2 or channel 23-1, 2, 3, or 4, if you are not able to see these channels, you probably do not have a digital television, regardless.
Roland, and anybody can jump in on this next question. This is probably the biggest question we're going to answer here tonight. What do people need to do to get ready for this switch?
Well, if three options. If they have cable and they have satellite, they don't need to do anything. If they have an old analog TV set that gets reception off of the air through their antenna, then they need to apply for a coupon and they need to get a box. Or they need to buy a new digital television that has a digital tuner in it.
Okay, that's what we're going to talk some more about the converter box and all that as the program goes on, but why is it that, why now? Why is it important? Why not wait and do this later, as been suggested by?
Well, most broadcasters have been on the air for a long time with the digital channels. They're already up there, they're already on the air, so the sooner you do it, the sooner you're going to get a better quality picture and more channels.
Another thing that comes, okay, Roland, go ahead on that.
One of the reasons it's happening now, one of the other reasons it's happening at this particular time, technology has finally got to the point that computers have gotten fast enough that they are able to literally build them into the televisions, so that we now have, within reasonable price, we have the ability to decode digital television. 7, 8, 10 years ago, we could do it, but a television set cost you, what, $7,000 or $8,000, and nobody could afford them.
Sure.
The technology has caught up to the point that the general public now can afford a digital television. You can buy a 13-inch digital television now for probably $150. You can buy a 26, 30-inch for less than $500. So they're in the ballpark of the price of analog televisions.
But just to clarify, you don't have to buy a new television in order to get in on the digital picture.
No, you don't. If you don't want to go out and buy a new TV, or you cannot afford to do it so at this time, the government has provided an assistance program for people to buy converter boxes. It's just a little box similar to this one. This is one we acquired ourselves. They're about $50, and the government can issue you two coupons per household for $40 a piece to assist you in purchasing these converter boxes. This can attach to your existing TV and allow you to see all of the digital over-the-air broadcast. You do not have to go out and purchase a new television.
And a lot of people out there, though, they are going into these stores to get a converter box. They may see some digital televisions on display. There's so many options out there for getting digital television. Right. I got a chance to go into the Best Buy here in Pensacola, take a look at what consumers see when they go into some of these big box retail stores. I got a chance to really ask them about what your choices are and what you need to do to get ready for digital television. Take a look. We're here inside Best Buy taking a look at some of the different kinds of televisions that they have out here. Joining us now, Dwayne DeCou, you're a master installer for the Geek Squad. You're going to take us through some of the different types of televisions some folks out there probably have in their home. You'll probably be able to pick out which one is like your television and how you can continue to get the DTV signal after that switch off date. Dwayne, go ahead and tell us what we're looking at here. This looks like a pretty old Magnavox big screen TV.
Yes, sir. This is an older projection TV, roughly around 10 years old, hooked to an antenna. And to receive the digital signals, it's going through a converter box right now.
And this TV does not have any kind of digital tuner at all in it.
No, sir.
That's why you have to have the converter box.
That is correct, yes, sir.
So really, this TV is, how old did you say, about 10?
Roughly about 10 years, yes, sir.
10 years old. You're still getting a digital signal, though.
Yes, sir.
And you're receiving it. What? I see you have an antenna set
The
up
antenna
here.
and the converter box is converting that signal from analog to digital.
Okay, and it's just a good old-fashioned set of rabbit ears, probably a lot like people bought when they originally bought their TV 10 years ago.
That is correct.
Pretty much the same thing. You're getting a digital signal here, but of course you can also get a digital signal without that converter box. Tell me a little bit about what we're looking at here. This looks like one of those old tube-type
yes, sir,
TVs.
That's exactly it. This is a tube-type TV. This is a newer type 2 TV. If you do have a newer television, you will not need the converter box. You just need the antenna to receive your digital signal.
And this TV is brand new. It's a standard definition TV, but it's also ready to go for digital. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, sir. It's got the digital tuner built in. Any of your newer TVs are going to have the digital tuner built into it, so you can still receive the off-air signals, but there's no conversion box needed because the signal's already able to be picked up digital.
And you don't need the converter box if you have a TV like this.
That is correct. If you have a newer TV, you will not need the converter box, just your antenna.
A big question that a lot of people have is, how do I know if my TV has a digital tuner already built in, or if it does not, like this old Magnavox?
Like I said, anything newer within the past year or so is going to be digital. You can always contact your TV's manufacturer or look in the manual. It should tell you.
Okay, all right. And it'll be a big disclaimer on the box if it's not
Yes,
digital
sir. That
and
is
you're
correct.
buying a new
That
TV.
is correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, and take a look at this. This is, of course, what everybody wants, an HD TV. It's a flat panel TV. Tell me a little bit about what we have here and how you're getting this signal.
This is going to be your newer widescreen TV. Like you said, high def capable, so you're able to receive a high definition signal if you have an HD ready television or antenna, excuse me. It'll also be 16 by 9, which means your high definition picture, which you can see here, will fill up your screen naturally. And you'll be able to receive that signal once again without a converter box.
And you can see here in the Channel 3 high definition signal that if you have the old standard definition type TV, you're going to have these black bars up here, but it'll still be a 16 by 9 ratio. Over here, you don't have that problem. It fills up the entire screen. Yes. And tell me a little bit about how you're getting this signal.
This signal right here is basically just coming in straight off the antenna loop, coming in where you can pick up regular Channel 3 in standard definition or Channel 3 in high definition. You can also have cable or satellite provided on any of these TVs, which work.
All right, and we'll talk a little bit about how you can get those different channels without having to subscribe to cable or satellite. Lots of different choices out there.
Now, you've looked at a lot of them, Dan. Did you have a favorite? Is there one that you think's the best product?
Well, do I have a favorite TV? I like they've got a $6,000 TV that I don't think my wife would let me get away with bringing
bigger
home.
the better, yeah.
Right, but as far as the converter boxes go, we'll talk a little bit more about those just a little bit later. But you know what? My favorite's the cheapest one because they really all do the same thing. They're all going to deliver digital TV.
And it's a good picture. Now, the question is, we've been using standard definition for a long, long time. What is the difference, we hear a lot, between standard definition and high definition? Engineers.
Okay, between standard definition and high definition. High definition obviously is a much clearer picture with much better sound. Usually Dolby surround sound is included with the high definition package. But not all digital TV is high definition. The converter box will take a high definition signal and down convert it so that you can still see it on your standard definition television. So just because something is in true high def does not mean that you will not be able to see it or that you have to have a, quote, high definition TV in order to see it. You'll be able to see it just fine with the converter boxes. If you do get a new TV that is high def, you'll see a much better picture, you'll see a widescreen picture, you'll have surround sound, and that TV will still be able to pick up and decode and display any of the standard definition digital broadcasts that are out there also.
Anyone would look at this picture after the conversion and say, this is definitely a big improvement over our old
It is, and one of the best selling points of high definition television has been, if you see it, you want it. Once you see it, you don't want to go back to a 4x3 TV with a snowy picture anymore.
A 4x3 TV. We're throwing out a lot of numbers, a lot of letters out there in this show. Let's clarify a little bit. I talked a little bit about it when we were over at Best Buy about just what exactly it is, that aspect ratio, where sometimes you're going to see the bars, but then if you have a digital TV, maybe you won't see the bars with this different ratio, 16 by 9. What does that mean?
Well, it gets a little bit complicated, but your old TV is basically a square. We call it 4x3. That's the aspect ratio of the TV. But if you look at it, it's just about a square picture. The newer TVs are widescreen, which more closely approximates the human field of vision. It's more like going to a movie theater. Anytime you go to a movie theater, you see a nice wide picture. It's much wider than it is tall. So that's what the high definition image is all about, and that's what we call 16 by 9. All you really need to remember is one's basically square, the newer ones are widescreen.
Now, what if I have one of those older TVs? Can I still watch these programs that are out there being broadcast in this different format?
Absolutely, absolutely. Any of the new TVs and any of the converter boxes will deal with that signal, will decode it and display it just fine on either your old TV with a converter box, or if you have the new television, you'll see it just fine in true HD.
Okay.
Now, the old TV, if I have an older TV, I can't watch programs in HD, as you said, but I'm still going to get a better picture, right?
Sure, you will get a clearer digital picture. If you do have an older TV with a converter box, you'll be able to see a high definition broadcast, but it will down convert it and make it viewable on your television. That's why you should go ahead and do something. There's many reasons why you should do something, but that's one of them. You get better picture, better sound, and more pictures. The number of over-the-air digital TV signals now far exceed what was ever available in the analog world. And many reasons years ago that people went to satellite and cable was the analog pictures were kind of snowy, they weren't really clear, there were not a lot of choices. That's all changed. Now is a great time to revisit going back to over-the-air television. Where I live in Pensacola with an outside antenna, I scanned it the other day with a converter box and I picked up 26 digital over-the-air television channels. And there will be more on the air after February 17th when broadcasters vacate the analog signal, makes more frequencies available for even more television channels.
I don't think you're making many friends at the cable companies here tonight with that statement, but anyway, the viewers with this new setup, will they get all the same channels that they had broadcast over the air before? If they're analog now, you go to the new system, they get the converter box. Am I going to get the same channels, 3, 10, etc.?
Not only will you get the same channels you've always did, you will get many additional channels that were never available before, because the new technology, once again, has made such greater use or more efficient use of the radio spectrum, where it used to take this much room to do one television signal, we can now put 4 or 5 in there. So there are more signals available over the air than there ever has been in the past.
There's a shot of the coverage area right there.
Yeah, that's a good map. On the right is WEAR's analog and digital signal. The dotted line is the old analog signal. The solid line is the new digital signal. And as you see for WEAR, the difference in coverage area is not much different. They gain a little bit, but not much. On the left is WSRE's TV signal, and we were transmitting from a shorter tower near downtown Pensacola, and now with the new digital signal, you can see our coverage area is vastly expanded, so a whole lot more people will be able to see WSRE than ever before.
And see it for free in multiple channels, as most of the stations out there are going to be broadcasting in multiple channels, offering a huge benefit to viewers, all for free, as long as you're able to receive that signal. And this is really a key point to the big digital switchover, that you need to be able to receive the signal through an antenna. Now, the one you have right now may work, it may not. You may need to step up a grade of an antenna. I got a chance to go to Best Buy to check out what the different types of antennas there are out there and figure out what the difference is between them, because again, you're going to have a lot of choices when you walk into the store. We're over here in the antenna section. As you can see, there's lots of different colors, sizes, styles of antennas to choose from. Dwayne, how do I know, looking at all these different choices, which one is going to be right for me?
Well, let's start here. This here is just your basic set of antenna rabbit ears. Plugs directly into the back of your television. No amplified signal. If you currently have an antenna like this and you're receiving that signal, after the transition, give it a shot. You may need a booster. Which brings us to our next antennas. These are amplified. They plug into an electrical outlet, kind of boost your signal, let you receive a little bit better signal, a little bit more maybe. Other options we have are flat antennas. A little bit more aesthetically pleasing, can sit there with your equipment. They don't stick out as bad as these.
Now, what's the difference here between this flat antenna and what I'm seeing right here? This looks like something out of Star Trek, and this just kind of would probably blend into whatever I have sitting around my TV right now.
The biggest thing is this antenna here is designed to get you a little bit more of a signal, whereas you can also turn it to receive signals. This one's mainly made for aesthetics. You're still going to be able to receive some signals. You just want to have the turning option to point in a certain direction.
Now, they both plug into the wall inside your home here. Why would you need an antenna that plugs into the wall?
Once the transition becomes a digital signal is going to be a little bit stronger, you may need an amplified signal to receive that signal.
So it takes the regular signal that it has, uses that power from the wall and boosts it
That is correct.
to
Yes.
receive in your home. Now, what if I don't want any of these inside my home, but I still want to get over-the-air broadcast television?
You also have some outdoor options that come out to the side of your house or in your attic, which will provide the same thing.
Now, do these have to plug into a power source, so I have to run an extension cord outside?
No, sir, these are going to run straight down coax cable, straight from the antenna to the back of your television.
All right, so a lot of different choices to choose from, a lot of different prices out there. It sounds like, though, the best advice is that if you're using an old set of rabbit ears, go ahead and give it a try with your new digital converter box and see if you're still getting television. And a lot of people, when we talk about this big switch to HD, the thing that people talk about the most probably is the picture, that stunning
popping
digital picture that you get, even on your regular TV, a better picture than you've ever had before on the analog signal. But one benefit that probably people don't talk a whole lot about, it's the sound quality that's going to be so much better when you make the switch, even if you make the switch just using a converter box. Let's talk a little bit about that, the difference in sound going from your analog signal to your digital signal.
Digital sound is stereo for sure. There's no noise, no buzz, things that were very common with analog television. If you have a high definition television and you have a surround sound system, it is absolutely amazing. You watch movies, you watch football, you watch a football game, the announcers are coming out the front speaker, the referees, all of the action and everything is all around you. And the first time you watch it, when the referee blows the whistle, it'll scare you. It is absolutely amazing. It's a totally different experience. The same for movies. It's like being at a theater watching.
And a key point of that is you have to have these multiple speakers, the rear channel speakers as well. But if you have that set up, you can get that kind of surround sound free broadcast over the air.
It's absolutely free. Back some time ago when one of the cable companies was negotiating with one of the networks, and I think they took them off for a little while, I was astounded that my son-in-law did not realize that television over the air is free. And he was raised in Boston, had never used an antenna in his life.
Right.
That is not changing. Free over-the-air television is free over-the-air television. All of the channels, as Daryl described to you, it's all free. No charge, no subscription fees, no nothing. You put up the antenna, it's absolutely free.
We've really entered a new world with television sound, haven't we? Because it used to be sound, we had these little speakers in the sets, and it was just sort of an afterthought. You really cared about the picture, but that's so right. If you watch a show with the sound, with that 5-channel sound, it's a real experience.
It's absolutely amazing. I'd like to follow up a second, if I could, about the rabbit ears and the antennas. In this market, and I'm speaking of the Mobile, Pensacola market, the key channels for determining whether and this is assuming you're picking up at the present time over the air with an antenna, the key channels, if you have a good picture on channel 10, on channel 15, on channel 33 and 44, I can almost guarantee you're going to be in good shape. Because of the way the FCC has switched the channels around, almost everybody is going to be UHF, and the actual 3's on 17 and 5's on 27 and 23's on 31. We don't want to confuse everybody with that because it's all automatic. But that's the key. In this market, if you can pick up those channels and you have a good, clear picture, you're probably going to be okay. Now, an outside antenna is always better than an inside antenna. An inside antenna is okay if you're picking up a good, solid picture. If you're picking up a picture analog that is snowy and full of ghosts and so forth, probably you're not going to have a good digital picture.
I saw in Dan's package there, they showed one that you can put in your attic. Now, does that give you better than on top of the TV?
Oh, absolutely.
So
The problem with putting an antenna in the attic, and of course a UHF antenna is a much smaller antenna, so it's not as difficult to point. Depending on the orientation of your house, if you're lucky enough to have a house that happens to be pointing, if you're in Pensacola toward the west, if you're in Mobile toward the east, toward the towers that are around Wilcox Road out on I-10, you're going to do fine. But once again, try it. Try it with analog. It's a lot easier to test it with an analog picture than it is with a digital picture. With a digital picture, it's very difficult because you either have a good picture or you have nothing. With analog, you can kind of fine-tune it. You can go from a snowy picture and you just pick out the best picture. And once again, if you have a good picture on the channels that I mentioned, you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah. So it sounds like the best advice, if you're getting a picture now over the air, go ahead and give it a try with this new digital. You may not have to spend any money on it.
Exactly.
I wonder if they're going to find that people are dropping cable and satellite because, as you guys have pointed out, you can get such a terrific picture over the air. Has that been a possible outcome of this?
It's a possibility. I personally know a couple of people that have done just that. And you have to realize, too, that in this day and age, there's a whole generation of people that have grown up that never received TV over the air. They weren't around in the 50s and the 60s, and they've just grown up with cable or satellite. And of course the internet is very popular, but there is free over-the-air TV. You can get an antenna and a tuner, and more than ever before, many channels in this market in full HD. Any weekend I've turned on my TV and I'm able to watch any of the major network programs, sports, in full HD. It's free, it's over the air, it doesn't cost a thing.
Okay.
You know, and a big key part of this is a lot of people are going to need to get that converter box, even if they're still, the people that are receiving the over-the-air signal probably are going to have to go out and probably get a converter box if their TV is more than a few years old. And there's been a lot of talk in the news about that converter box program lately. I know that we've got the latest on that over here. Bill, tell me a little bit about what you've learned about that program.
Well, let's start with just the basics of the converter box program. It actually started in January of 2008, where you could apply for one of these cards. And what it is, it's a card that is worth $40, and each household can get 2 of these cards. And the card, you can go in and purchase the converter box, and they're normally anywhere from $40 to $80. So the government is helping you purchase the converter box if you need it. Now, they started, like I said, in January of 2008, and as a lot of people procrastinated, in other words, the idea is as you get closer and closer to the actual date, that's when people, started getting concerned. Well, what happened recently was that all of the available dollars, for these converter box cards have now been used up, but that's not really true. What's going on out there is there's people that are holding on to these cards, and they're good for 90 days. So if you don't use it, you lose it, basically. And this particular card is dated, it went invalid on June 18th of 2008. So this card is no good anymore. So what is happening is now there's a waiting list, and if people call in, for these cards, they're going to be put on a waiting list. And recently there were 2.1 million cards that have been called in for, and that represents about 1.3 million households. So as you see, as we're getting closer and closer to the end here, there's this big barrage of people, and they're going to be put on a waiting list. And so that is one of the difficulties that's facing the program right now. But there are some of these cards that will expire, so new cards will be able to be sent out. And it's an ongoing thing, but once again, they started with $1.3 billion, and that money was supposed to come in from the sale of the spectrum on the broadcast spectrum, and those dollars didn't actually come from taxpayers. It was supposed to come from that, and right now there's talk about even more dollars being put into the program and things like that. But some people have already acted. They got their card, they went and got their converter box, they're already watching digital TV. But some people didn't do it, and now if you call in, and I don't know if they put the numbers on the screen or not, but they've had them up there. And once again, it's a government agency that is controlling this program, NTIA, and it's part of the Commerce Department. And right now, they're kind of stuck in a rut because the cards haven't expired, and if someone calls in today, they're going to be put on a waiting list.
But there's no shortage of actual converter boxes. At the retail stores, you still have a selection. What you're talking about is the coupon. You can still get a converter box tomorrow without the coupon.
The government was just trying to help people, with $40, for a box. There's been a lot of issues that came up. One person asked, well, if I've got 2 of these cards, they're worth $80. Can I use them both and go in and buy the box? Can't do that. There may be people out there that have a card that would like to sell it to you. That's illegal. You can't do that. That's illegal. If you have somebody that's a neighbor or a family friend or something like that, and you have the card, you can actually give it to them, and they can go and use it. And it has a lot to do when you call in and start the application process. One of the interesting things is they ask you a question. It's very simple, the application, but they ask, all or some of the TVs in my house are connected to one or more pay services such as cable or satellite. Well, if they know right now that you are connected to cable or satellite, then you're not going to get the card. It's only people right now that have no connection whatsoever, that they would lose their TV altogether. So it's one of these things where right now the people that are calling in, if they are trying to get one for this TV set in the garage, but they've already got a really, everything going fine in their, TV room, hey, they're not going to be able to get the card. So it's backed up now to where we're in the crunch, and the people that don't have any access to television after February 18th are going to get the cards first, but there is a waiting list.
Bill, sometimes on government programs there's a means test. You have to show that you can't afford. You have to have income below a certain level. Is that the case with these?
No, not at all. Not at all. In other words, there were people from the very beginning that realized that they had a television set at their hunting lodge, that they, picked up over the air, and so they wanted to go ahead and get the converter box and get it hooked up. And if they have a hunting lodge, they probably have, a little bit of money. So, it's one of these things where it was just, in the very beginning, it was, whoever called in, once again, you could get 2 cards, per household. They were very strict on the fact, though, that it had to be a street address, it had to be a household. You couldn't call in, and basically send it to a work location or anything like that. You had to be to a home location. There was some initial concern about nursing homes and adult congregate living facilities and things like that. There is a separate application for that, so if someone is in a multiple complex type thing. And then P.O. boxes. Some people, have a P.O. box, but they also, that's just for their home address. But you have to, in the application, show that that is for that home. So once again, there's some issues, but the main thing is right now, call in. The best thing to do, even though you'll be put on a waiting list, is to go ahead and call in if you do not have a converter box and you have over the air and you have no other way of receiving it. Because one of the things is that March 31st is the last day that you can actually do it right now to call in and get it in a coupon.
Yeah.
And that may be changed, because there's talk right now of different changes going on. Yeah. We don't know what those are right now, but that may be pushed back too. So the whole thing is the coupon program right now is basically in a situation where they can't help the people immediately, but I'm sure they're going to try to do the best they can.
Right, and you don't have to have the coupon, obviously. And a lot of talk out there, when you talk about shortages of coupons, people may think, well, maybe there's a shortage of converter boxes. Right. Well, I can tell you from personal experience, my parents went out and got a converter box for their TV. They paid full price for it, and they're digital ready now on a TV that's probably about 5-10 years old. They're ready to go, and what I found was when I headed out to Best Buy that these converter boxes are readily available. They're really easy to install. Take a look at what I found out when I headed out there. And speaking of converter boxes, there's a couple of different choices out there, even different prices. Dwayne, how do I know which converter box I should get?
Basically, either one of these converter boxes is going to be okay for the transition. They all hook up the same way. Your basic thing is to get your converter box, being your line coming from your antenna, plugging the antenna in, take an additional line that is provided and run it from the TV out into the back of your television.
Just regular old cable that probably came with your
Yes,
antenna
sir.
that you have right now. You can plug it right into that antenna in, put it out, just like hooking up a VCR or
That
a
is correct.
cable box. You could probably handle hooking this up. Tell me a little bit about what happens after you get it hooked up.
Once you got your line plugged in and you plug your power in, your little blue light will come on your box indicating you have power. A setup menu will automatically pop up. You come down here to the auto tuning and you run an auto channel scan. It'll pick up all the channels you're receiving. A good idea to do is to do that definitely after the transition happens to make sure you're still receiving all those signals. And periodically, it's always a good idea to rescan. You might be able to pick up some more channels.
You know, a big question I get from people, they see the converter box in and they think automatically that it must be kind of like a cable box. Is there going to be any kind of fee that people have to pay after they buy one of these converter
No,
boxes?
sir. Once you buy that converter box, it's yours. You'll still be able to receive the same signals over the air for free that you're doing now. Just the converter box allows you to be ready for the transition.
And you're going to get a lot more channels, I take it, too.
Correct. Yes, sir.
All right. So converter box, no subscription fee. You hook it up pretty much like you'd hook up any kind of cable box, maybe a VCR if you've hooked one of those up in the past. You go through the setup menu. Sounds pretty easy, and you get a remote to boot.
Yes, sir. Brings a remote, makes it easier to get into the setup menu and control it.
All right. And is that a universal remote?
This will work with the Insignia box or the Apex box, depending on which one you get. They both come with a remote control. It's also programmable. If you have a remote, the codes are programmable into your universal remote as well.
All right. Sounds like a deal. Digital TV and a free remote, too. All right. Dwayne, thanks so much for joining us. Let's go back to the studio for more on DTV Answers. Easy to do if you've ever set up a VCR. It's about as simple as that. And one key point, of course, this is not a cable box. You don't have to pay anything after you get this. It's a one-time fee, and you've got, like we've said, multiple channels, digital quality, digital sound.
I like the sound of that. If you just joined us, you are watching a special program here tonight on WSRE Public Television and ABC Channel 3. I'm Lloyd Patterson, and Dan Thomas, of course, with Channel 3, bringing you the latest information on this digital television changeover that's going to be coming soon. Now, Dan, good story there on the setting up the converter box. Now,
Right.
somebody sets it up. What do you say, guys? If things don't seem to be going right, should they instantly get a better picture? They should, shouldn't they? What if they're having trouble?
If it works right, they should get a better picture immediately. Sometimes when you scan a box, depending on the box and depending on the quality of your antenna and so forth, it'll miss a channel. The best advice I can give is to do a little research, figure out what channel the missing channel is actually on. For instance, say you were missing channel 3. For some reason, channel 3 didn't scan. They happen to be on channel 17. A lot of times you can punch channel 17 into the box and it'll find it. It just didn't happen to find it in the scan. I've actually had that happen with a television. Didn't happen to be a box, but they all work about the same. And once it finds it, then it's got it. And you just have to read the instructions and keep at it until you succeed.
Well, Roland, tell me this. Why do you have to rescan? Why do they suggest that you keep rescanning every once in a while?
The digital televisions are a computer. Mm-hmm. They are a cross between a computer and a radio or a television, which is a picture radio. And as anybody that's ever played with a computer knows, sometimes the first time they just don't work. And you just got to try again. Once again, the most likely cause is that you don't have a good antenna. And check your antenna with your analog television and try it again. Just keep at it, and chances are it will eventually work.
No matter how easy they make this process, Dan, I agree. It does look very simple, but it takes some people. I can see, for instance, where my in-laws might have trouble with this, and they can, I'd be happy to help them, but you can call your grandson or some of the younger people who are very used to this technology could probably set this up in seconds, couldn't they?
Somebody that's familiar with setting up a VCR interconnecting your television, your VCR, maybe a cable or satellite receiver and so forth. That type person, a semi-technical person, can probably help you out, probably help you get set up. I can't emphasize enough, you should do it before the analogs go off. It's much easier if you can look at an analog signal to be sure you have a good picture, because with digital, if you don't have a good signal, it just simply says no signal. And there's nothing to say, well, yeah, I can barely see it there. Let's go ahead and, maybe I have a chance here. With digital, you don't have that option.
And that's really the reason why some people, maybe they're used to seeing a snowy picture if they have the old rabbit ears. They may not get the signal if it's digital. That may be a reason to step up in antenna quality too.
Absolutely. If you don't have a good analog picture on the channels that I mentioned before, 10, 15, 33, and 44, if you can't receive all of these channels, your antenna is probably not going to be good enough to pick up a digital picture, in which case you're going to have nothing.
100% or nothing.
That's exactly
You'd
right.
suspect then the antenna first, not the digital box. Now, what are you looking at to spend for a decent antenna then?
I helped an in-law install one over Thanksgiving, and a nice outdoor antenna with a mounting kit and the wire and everything you need was under $100. And I'd like to also add that when you scan a box, you hook up your box and you scan it. I don't think I've ever seen in this market a case where the box got no signal. Usually, everyone I've seen, you get some signal. You may not get the channel you want. That's when you need to start playing around with your antenna. But if you're within 30 or 40 miles of Mobile, Pensacola, you'll get signals. And if you scan it and the signal you wanted to get, the channel you wanted to get is not there, then you need to reorient the antenna, you need to scan again, you need to play with it a little bit. You may need to go to an outside antenna. But you will get something with rabbit ears just about anywhere you are in this market.
Roland, I see you want to jump in here.
About the boxes, there are actually HD converter boxes that are also available. If you bought a large screen television, say 5-6 years ago, and there's nothing wrong with it, it has an analog tuner and there's nothing wrong with it except that it doesn't pick up digital signals, you can, I think they're around $125 or so, you can buy a high definition converter box. You don't have to throw your perfectly good large screen television away if it's high definition capable, and hook up a high definition converter box and you're in business.
Let's bring in Eric Funden, our Director of Operations here at WSRE. You've got years in this field. What needs to be emphasized here, do you think, Eric?
Well, I mean, I know we're talking about the low end of this and the converter boxes and the coupons, but I've read several articles where people are putting multiple antennas up on their roof that point in different directions to pick up multiple markets. Right. They have antennas that have boosters on them to boost the signal coming in, and the antennas of the past that had the rotors on it. You can buy an antenna like that will scan and look for the signals.
Like with a remote, it'll actually move around
to rotors
pick
just
up
like the television antennas of the past. And on some channels, you'll have to rotate your antenna in different markets to get different channels. But you can buy multiple antennas, point them in different directions. I mean, it's expensive, more expensive than the minimum stuff, but you can do a lot to improve your signal and the number of channels you're going to get.
You talk about it being expensive, but really, I mean, if you're getting it for free and you've got a pretty good setup, that initial cost is pretty small compared to that monthly fee that you have to pay with a subscription service like cable or satellite.
Right. You'll have some upfront costs, but then you're going to get multiple channels over the air for free. And like Daryl said, the quality is unbelievable, and once you see it, you'll love it, and won't go back.
For sure. I think every station in this market, every station in the country wants everybody they have an interest, of course. We want to keep the audience that we have. We don't want anybody to be left out of this. And now there's some talk, as you know, Dan, that this date could actually be played with. February 17th date.
Yeah, that certainly is what it's looking like. You know, we have the President-elect Barack Obama talking about saying, you know, there's a lot of people out there that may not be ready for it. He wants to go ahead and push the date back. Of course, the National Association of Broadcasters is pretty well unified on this point that they do not, because there's been a lot of money spent out there on getting the information out about this, that we've concentrated a lot on that date, and a lot of people out there probably don't want to see it switched for largely financial reasons. It's going to cost a lot of money to run both of those signals at the same time.
That's right, for sure.
But a lot of
Eric,
people are being encouraged to just do it. In other words, go ahead, you know, do what you need, you know, because once you get that digital, you're going to enjoy the picture, you're going to enjoy the sound, and the multiple show programs that you're going to have. So, so once again, you know, that could be maybe the take-home message tonight is just do it. Go ahead and do whatever you have to do. If you have to wait for the coupon, if you're not financially capable of going out and buying a converter box, you know, you may have to wait there. But one of the things that we went out and talked to a lot of groups, community groups, seniors and things like that. And one of the questions that kept coming up over and over again was, you know, do I have a digital tuner or some type of device, you know, in my television set? And we alluded to that earlier, but once again, you know, the thing is you need to go back to the manuals and look in the specs. And Roland mentioned earlier there is the ATSC, and then there's QAM with cable, and those are some of the key things. Some of them say that it's digital ready and things like that. But also, this was a television set I bought, you know, in 2001, and it's got on here NTSC. So I guess that means it's not ready.
That's the old one.
That's the old system.
That's the old system.
That's the
So
system.
once again, you know, people, if you do still have the manuals, go to the specs. You can look there. You can go online. You know, it's the type of thing that probably the manufacturers have on their websites. You know, if they're digital ready or not. But so many people have asked that question because the idea is they may shy away from the converter box, but they want to know if the TV set they have, you know, can pick up the digital signal.
Bill, one other quick question about the coupon program. I can't get the coupon right now, but can I go buy the converter box, get the coupon later, and go get a rebate, refund on my money?
The coupon has no rebate tied into it whatsoever. So if you go out and spend the $69 and buy the converter box and get the coupon later, maybe you could buy another converter box, but you're not going to be able to get a rebate.
Okay.
You know, Bill, you've got this TV sitting in front of you that looks probably a lot like what people were watching right after Hurricane Ivan, and that's a big point too, that you need a converter box to make that one work. These portable TVs that people have, you may not be thinking about those because a lot of people have bought, you know, these new flat panel TVs that are ready to go. What about the battery powered ones? What happens to those?
Here's what we got, Dan. Here's the television sets that have been out there for years. You know, 10C batteries, you know, kept it going, you know, when the electricity was off and didn't have a generator. And when television came back on, able to watch in black and white on a little 5-inch screen, but you could see what was going on, and it had a radio built into it too. So you had the radio and the television set. It had VHS and UHF, so you could get the different stations.
That's right.
These things are dead in the water unless you tie a converter box to it. And so that means also electricity.
Needs electricity, right?
All right.
That's not. They are making a converter box that runs on batteries.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's good information to have out there.
This TV is dead in the water because it doesn't have an antenna connection on it.
There you go. No antenna.
Converter box.
Look for that, yeah.
There you go.
The little points.
That's what we had.
But you cannot connect it. You can't connect it, a converter box to that TV.
And Bill, I'd like to add too. I have seen small portable battery-operated digital TVs are becoming available.
Okay.
I looked at eBay the other day, and 7-inch LCD battery-operated digital TVs are about $100 to $125. And those
They're coming down in price.
They've come down already, and they'll come down probably to about the price point that those things were, $35, $40 for those TVs at your local drugstore for years.
Roland
But the
Phillips.
idea, will the antenna be built into those type
It comes with an antenna just like
built
that
in,
one.
just like
Yes.
this. So you won't have to
You'll
go out
get,
and buy
you'll
one.
get something. So when the hurricanes come and your cable's down and your satellite dish is blown off the roof, you pull out your little TV and look at over-the-air broadcast
Roland,
as a last resort.
I know this has been a big concern of yours, and because in this market, you recall when we've had hurricanes, it's really tough. And so, what are you suggesting? I know this is a big concern of yours.
I suggest, especially if you're on cable, satellite is not quite as susceptible, although it is susceptible to being blown away by a hurricane. But in this market, after Hurricane Ivan hit, there were a lot of areas of this viewing area that did not have cable for probably a month. Some people even longer than that, way longer than after the power's back. They get crews from all over the United States to come in and get the power back up, but the cable is not necessarily, well, it's not a necessity, so they don't have as many people come in. When the power comes back on and you can turn your TV on, if you have a converter box, you have a place to plug it in, you should be prepared with a set of rabbit ears at least and some coaxial cable. You should test this prior to needing it, put it in your hurricane box so that when the power comes back on, even if the cable's not on, you can drag out your little converter box, you can drag out your antenna and coax, and you're back in business. You can watch Dan over there reporting on how bad things are.
You can see the pictures.
Exactly.
Right.
With satellite, I don't get satellite television at home, but I've heard that in some weather conditions, heavy rain, satellite pictures can get a bit fuzzy. Will that be the case with this DTV?
No, not really. The reason satellite pictures go out is because of the band that they operate on. It's basically KU band. It's very, very, very high frequency, and it operates much like light. And it's very susceptible to heavy rain, heavy thunderstorms, especially fading it out. Even at the TV station with the big dish they have, the frequencies that television operates on, we don't have rain fade on analog, and we won't have rain fade on digital.
Good to hear.
And you don't get the static from lightning. You don't get, if you're watching over the air, you don't get the picture wobbling around when an airplane goes over. You don't get the stations from Louisiana coming in, trying to come in on top of it. It works, and you have a good picture, or you have nothing.
Are these tough to hook up, Dan, with DVDs too? I mean, people are going to have want to put their recorders. Can you run your recorder? Do you run your recorder through that then, and tune with that? Or?
If you have a VCR and you want to record off the air, this would be the first in line. You'd have the antenna, then this box, then take the signal coming out of this box, which is an analog signal, hook it up to your VCR. And you can have either a channel 3 signal or channel 3 or 4, I think it's selectable, or you can have video and audio coming out.
Go ahead and show us what's on the back of that so people know what to expect when they get this. It's basically, probably pretty similar to what your TV has now. If you don't have the multicolored things right there, you probably don't have to even worry about that as long as your TV has an antenna input. Is that correct?
If your TV has an antenna input, you simply take the coaxial cable off of the TV, hook it to the box, and take a short piece of coaxial cable, which I believe comes with the converter box, and hook it up between the converter box and the TV. Tune the TV to what does this one do? Channel 3, I think. 3 or 4. It's probably selectable on the menu, and you're in business. Just like hooking up a VCR. Exactly the same process.
And they all come with instructions. They come with the short cable. They come with a remote control. Most of them have the batteries for the remote control. Everything you need is in the box.
And Dan, a DVD is the same thing as a VCR. It's the same hookup, same path as a VCR would be your DVD player.
Bill, I
And
like
the converter boxes are going to have some features that they may never have had before, like electronic program guide. You know, they're going to be able to scan. There's going to be a remote control that does things. So with the converter box, are going to become some new little toys that they can play with, and that'll be a lot of fun. But they always say to rescan every now and then, just so you can pick up. And Daryl, there'll be new channels coming on too, right? That's another reason to rescan.
As soon as broadcasters vacate the analog channels, hopefully February 17th at midnight, some stations have not been allowed to go on the air digital because other broadcasters have not vacated those frequencies. That's why it's especially important when you wake up on the morning of February the 18th to scan your box to see who changed over in the middle of the night and is now broadcasting digital.
We keep talking about this date that changeover is going to be happening this time. This is when everything stops. But important point that I think you've made, Bill, and you guys too, is that this is something that you can do now. You're already broadcasting. Channel 3 is broadcasting a digital signal. You can go to it right at this tonight.
Everybody's on the air. All of the commercial, everybody's on the air except in the Mobile, Pensacola market. I think Channel 55 cannot go on the air until somebody signs off, and then they'll go on a different channel. But even if this thing is delayed, suppose it's delayed 3 months or 6 months. Just think back, this is January, think back about how recently July 4th of last year was. What I'm saying is don't delay, do it now, because the time will fly by and we're going to be in the same fix. Go ahead and get it done. Enjoy the benefits of having digital television, and just be done with it.
And Dan, if I can put a pitch in for people that are sitting on these these coupon, go ahead and use them. Because once again, 90 days it has the expiration date on it. If you're sitting on one and you're sitting there thinking, well, just look at it and see that it's going to expire. And once it expires, you cannot go get another one. In other words, you cannot apply for another one. So if you've asked for two and they both expire, you cannot get another one. If you've asked for one and it expires, you can ask for another one. But if you've asked for two and they expire, you can't get another one.
One shot thing.
One shot. So if you don't use it, you lose it.
And if you've got it, go out and use it.
Yeah.
One concern that it seems like I have, I think from knowing elderly people, that no matter how great this is going to make the picture, it does add a level of complexity to the television experience, doesn't it? And that's why it's important for us to be doing programs like this tonight, and I know Channel 3's and our websites are going to be staying on top of this.
Right.
It is worth it, though, isn't it? Tell us it's worth it.
It is worth it, and let me say, and it's been mentioned on several promo or public service announcements, if you know somebody around you that, especially an elderly person, go over and help them out. Get them fixed up. Do it now while it's easier, and just be a good neighbor and go do it. Your grandparents, your aunt and uncle, help them out.
Yeah, and it's easy to do for a lot of people that are maybe younger. They've dealt with some of this stuff before. Go ahead and help out your neighbor.
Exactly.
Get them up, get them ready to go for
Dan,
DTV.
from the calls that have come in tonight, there is a lot of people out there that just, we think that are in trouble.
The phones have just been ringing off the hook here. One of the biggest questions that I hear coming up over and over again, can I get digital right now? The answer, of course, is yes. Don't delay it. You can take advantage of all of this free broadcast programming right now. All you have to do is make a few simple steps. Chances are your TV may even already be ready to go.
And at public television here, WSRE, and I know at Channel 3, we want everybody to come on board and stay with us through this transformation. There's no reason to be left out.
Yeah, lots of information out there at WEARTV.com and WSRE.org. Go ahead and log on, ask your neighbor, ask your friends if they're DTV ready.
And we appreciate your watching tonight. Dan, good having you back here.
Always great to be here, and hopefully the switch will go on as planned and we won't have to come back and do this again. Everybody will be DTV ready.
Thanks for watching. Good night.